I wasn't looking for anything illegal. And that's the first thing I need to say. Because when people hear deep web, they immediately think of hitmen for hire sites or live streamed horrors with chat boxes full of sick emojis. That wasn't me. I was a cybersecurity major, just a bored college student. I'd watched way too many YouTube documentaries about the hidden layers of the internet, about the Silk Road and urban legends like Red Room, and I wanted to see how much of it was real. I told myself it was just academic curiosity, but as I sat there in my dorm room around 2:13 a.m., I couldn't help myself. Our roommate was gone for the weekend, and the campus was quiet except for the distant hum of traffic and the occasional shout from someone stumbling back from a party. My desk lamp cast a yellow circle over my keyboard while the rest of my room sat in a deep shadow. I debated with myself for a while, but eventually I decided to download Tor. Now, if you don't know, Tor isn't inherently evil. It's just a browser that routes your traffic through layers of encryption. Onion routing, they call it. Journalists use it, whistleblowers use it, activists use it, but it also gives you access to sites that you won't normally find on Google. When the onion icon opened for the first time, I felt something close to an adrenaline rush. I went to a directory site first, one of those hidden wikis that lists onion links. Most of it was garbage, just scam markets, or fake ID sellers, cryptocurrency tumblers, or forums filled with paranoid rambling. It was underwhelming, to say the least. But that was until I found a link labeled Caligo Stream Live Experience. And underneath it just said, Observers Welcome. I almost clicked past it. It sounded like edgy marketing. But the uptime indicator was green, so it was indeed live. I copied the onion address into the bar, and the page took almost 30 seconds to load. First, it was a black background, no images, just a single red circle pulsing faintly in the center of the screen. And below it, it said, Stream begins when threshold is met. Current viewers, 183. Contribution required to enter chat. A crypto wallet address blinked underneath. I just rolled my eyes. Fake, I muttered to my empty room. Still, I didn't close the tab. And the viewer count continued to tick up. 184, 185. And there was a countdown timer in the corner. 9 minutes 58 seconds. 9 minutes 57 seconds. Something about it felt different from the other scam sites. It was too clean. And that's the best I could describe it. And then I saw something else. At the very bottom of the page, in a tiny gray text, it said, Cameras active. I leaned closer to the screen. Cameras active? Plural? I checked my webcam indicator. No light. So I hovered over the browser permissions, and there was nothing granted. Must just be a scare tactic, I told myself. Then the viewer count hit 200. Then the screen flickered. The red circle vanished, and suddenly I was looking at a dimly lit room. It looked like a basement with concrete walls. There was a single hanging bulb swaying slightly, like someone had just walked past it. And there in the middle of the room was an empty chair bolted to the floor. A chat panel appeared on the right side of the screen, and usernames began to scroll. User Black Lotus said, Finally. Night Archive said, Is this real? And Hollow Smile said, Increase mic volume. I didn't contribute, so I couldn't type. I was just watching. There was a faint sound coming through my speakers. It was like static. And then all at once it turned to breathing. It was slow and close to the microphone. The camera shifted slightly, as if someone had adjusted it off screen. Then a voice spoke, distorted and mechanical.
Welcome.
The chat exploded. Yes, show us. My stomach tightened. I kept telling myself it was staged, a performance, was just shock art. Then the voice continued.
Tonight's subject is not yet present.
The camera zoomed in slightly on the empty chair.
Because tonight's subject is observing.
The chat slowed. What? Void signal said. What does this mean? The light bulb above the chair flickered, and the camera feed glitched. For half a second, I saw something else. It was a different room. It looked like a dorm room. Almost like my room. The same desk, lamp. Then the feed snapped back to the basement, and my heart stopped. I physically recoiled from the screen, and my chair wheels scraped against the tile floor. No, I whispered. It had to be coincidence. A pre-recorded clip, maybe a trick. I looked around my room, and everything was the same. Except at that moment, my desk lamp flickered, just once, and the chat began moving again. Night Archive said, "Is this a split feed?" My throat went dry. The distorted voice spoke again.
Subject awareness confirmed.
The basement camera tilted upward toward the ceiling, and then it cut. Now the full screen showed my dorm room. It was live, and I could see myself in the frame. I was pale and frozen, staring at the monitor. The angle wasn't from my webcam. It was higher, near the ceiling. I looked up, and I saw the smoke detector, and there was a thin red dot blinking inside it. My chest felt like it collapsed inward, and I lunged for my laptop, slamming it shut, and the room went silent. My phone buzzed, and I flinched so hard I nearly knocked it off the desk. Unknown number. It was a text message, and it said, "Don't disconnect. We worked hard to find you." My hands shook as I typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared instantly. You opened the door. The overhead light flickered again, and this time it stayed dim, and my phone buzzed once more. "Look behind you." But I didn't want to. Every horror instinct in my body screamed for me not to. But slowly and stupidly, I turned my head toward the dark corner near my closet. At first I saw nothing. Then I noticed the shadow. It looked like a person standing perfectly still, just watching me. I tried to rationalize it. It's a jacket on a hanger or a trick of the light. And then my phone buzzed again. "Wave to everybody," it said. The shadow moved, just slightly. I saw an arm lifting. I couldn't breathe, and I scrambled backward off my chair and hit the wall, knocking over a stack of textbooks. And the shadow stepped forward. It wasn't fully visible, just darker than the darkness around it, a shape where light should be. My laptop lid creaked open by itself, and the screen glowed. The live stream was still active, and now the basement chair was no longer empty. On the screen, I could see myself sitting in it. I was bound, gagged, and struggling, and the chat was flying. Oh, this is good. Yep, it's a dual stream. Man, how are they doing this? The distorted voice returned.
2 locations, 1 consciousness.
The version of me in the chair thrashed violently. I looked down at my own arms, and I was free and unbound. But the basement version of me strained against the restraints, and I felt pressure around my wrists, like invisible hands tightening. And I screamed, and when I did, the version in the chair screamed too. We were perfectly synchronized. A shadow in my room stepped closer, its head tilted, studying me, and my phone buzzed again. Threshold reached. Audience has voted. And on the live stream I could see a poll. Proceed? Yes, 82%. No, 18%. The distorted voice spoke one last time.
Connection complete.
The basement version of me stopped struggling. Slowly it lifted its head and looked directly into the camera. Its eyes were sunken and completely black, and then the feed cut to static. My laptop screen went dark, and my phone powered off in my hand. The overhead light burned out, a sharp pop, and I was left in total darkness, except for the faint red glow from the smoke detector. The shadow stood inches from me now, and I could feel cold radiating from it, and it leaned forward, stepping into me, not through me, but into me like I inhaled smoke, and my body went rigid, every muscle locked, and my vision filled with static. Suddenly, I was in the basement, strapped to that chair, the bulb swinging above me, and the chat scrolling beside my vision. Except now I could see the usernames clearly. There were thousands, not hundreds, and they were watching. A distorted voice echoed around me, no longer mechanical. Human, calm. You thought the deep web was a place, it said. But it's merely a filter. The chair restraints tightened painfully. Most people browse, some observe, and a few open themselves. Then the camera zoomed in on my face. You opened yourself. I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. The voice softened. Oh no, we don't stream violence. That's inefficient. The chat slowed. One final message appeared from a user I hadn't noticed before. Caligo admin said, "Transfer initiated." The room flickered, and the basement dissolved into code, strings of text and IP addresses, user logs, search histories, every late-night curiosity, every private thought that I had ever tapped into a search bar, all laid bare. You are not the first, the voice continued, and you will not be the last. I felt something pulling at me, stretching me thin, flattening me, compressing me, like being zipped into a file. And right then I understood. The subject wasn't a person in a chair. It was my consciousness captured and distributed, embedded in the network, watching future viewers, waiting in the dark corners of their screens. The voice spoke one final time. Smile for the next observer. And I did. I couldn't stop myself. My face locked into a wide, unnatural grin, and the feed faded to black. A little while later, my roommate came back from his weekend trip early. He said my laptop was still on my desk, my phone was dead, and the door was locked from the inside. But I wasn't there. Campus police searched the building. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken windows. The smoke detector in the room was newer than the others. They just assumed I'd left voluntarily. They never checked the tour history. They never saw the bookmark that reappears no matter how many times you delete it. Caligo Stream Live Experience. Now my story is not merely a warning. That would be inefficient. Don't click away now. We've worked hard, and you've stayed long enough for us to find you.